Hi and welcome to podcast number 7 here at Samarpan. On this beautiful Saturday morning, I've got another very special guest. I've got Atul Vaya from Meadow Wellness, which is based in Gujarat. They have 3 centres and work in the wellness field. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about wellness, mental health and India. Atul, welcome to Samarpan.
Thank you very much, Martin. Yes, I'm Atul. I have recently joined Meadow Wellness in Gujarat. We are a group of wellness centres. We have 3 centres there. And so thankful, so grateful to Martin for inviting me here. I've had a lovely experience. I came here yesterday. I would like to say that I came on my bike all the way from Baroda to Mulshi. It's a fantastic ride and coming here, beautiful experience. You have really like to compliment. You have really nicely done this center up, the rehab center. Good experience, the food, everything. So yeah, we're just getting started.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you had a long journey. How long was it again?
It took me 10 hours and 600 kilometers to get here. Yeah,
that's dedication. I don't think so. So yeah, just obviously you've come here, you've worked in, you're working in the wellness sector. You've been sort of involved in a lot of stuff around travel and pretty fascinating journey and stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've done over the time? And
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. I love sharing those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked in different industries, from retail to travel industry, consulting. Travel industry, gave me a lot of experience of different variety, where we were taking people on wellness holidays, we were taking on healthy holidays, spa holidays, golf holidays, leisure holidays, recreational.
Yeah.
So that gave me an opportunity to travel more than 55 countries, visiting a lot of places, facilities like these. Then when I moved to India, I wanted to do something with health and wellness. So yeah, started with logistics, consulting with logistics companies, startups, and then got into mental health, studied life coaching.
Yes.
So that gave me a good exposure of understanding how psychology of people works from the life. It's a very broad perspective, not as specialized as you guys do here.
Sure.
But at least we have an understanding of how this works.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's quite a big crossover, isn't there, in terms of some of the stuff that we've been talking about around mental health and wellness, and obviously what we do here is a little bit more niche in terms of working with people with substance use disorders and process addictions, but ultimately there's a lot of sort of stuff that is useful and people need. I mean, I was thinking about this. What do you see as some of the issues in India at the moment around about probably talking about mental health and wellness? What do you see as some of the sort of big issues in India that people are facing?
Right. Thank you for asking that. One very big problem is the stigma around it.
Yeah.
People are not open to discussing mental health issues, especially addiction related issues. When it comes to addiction, anybody suffering, what I experienced with my previous companies, when it comes to addiction, there's a different lens that those people suffering from addictions are looked at. Now I choose my words when I say suffering from addictions. Addiction is not a choice.
Sure.
It's a thing, a mental health disorder, and results in addiction, and
Yes.
people are suffering.
Yes.
We need ways to find. We need to find ways to get them out of that suffering.
Yes.
Heal them. Help them recover.
Yeah.
They may or may not know how to recover from that, and may not even know that I can recover. So to overcome that stigma, we need more efforts, collaborative efforts, where everybody in the mental health industry, wellness industry should come together, talk more openly about it, like a lot of celebrities in India are doing that today.
Yes.
Talk openly about substance abuse, of how people are struggling with different mental health issues that results in substance abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one of the biggest challenges. People are not clearly aware about facilities like these that are available. There are so many good facilities available where you can have a holistic experience. Like in my 12 hours of experience at Samarpan, what I've what I've understood is that so much attention paid to food here. The food that I enjoyed is 5-star. You know, you can get food of choice. These things are not available at every rehab, and people think this whole stigma. People think going to a rehab in India specifically. I don't know your experience of rehabs here and exposure to rehabs, but in India, going to a rehab means you're going to be tied to a bed with probably handcuffs and security guys watching you. That's what rehab is looked at. You know,
and that might not be untrue either in some contexts of some places,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes, yes. Involuntary rehabs have that. That's the broad perspective people have, that going to a rehab is like you are useless, you are of not any worth in the society, and that's why you need to go to a rehab.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting part about, and you know, when you talked about that, and what my experience is, that there is a lot of misconceptions that, you know, that's what happens. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't, because I think you and I will have spoken to enough people over time to understand that some people's experiences are just like that. They have been, you know, in a facility. They may well have been tied up. They may well have been shamed, and you know, and I think sometimes there is this part that we need to sort of punish. You know, families get very tired of maybe the person drinking or using drugs and all the other associated behaviours around it. And I don't want to send them to somewhere where they're going to. I don't want to send them somewhere where they're going to have a nice, you know, nice place, a nice meal. It's almost like we're rewarding the bad behaviour.
Right.
My experience is that, you know, to get the most out of therapy, you have to treat people in a humane way. And I always. I've mentioned this before to other people, and probably just so you might be helpful for you. We had the same sort of thing back in the UK. If we go back years ago, there was this whole idea that, you know, make it hard, make it unpleasant, make it sort of difficult.
They don't deserve it.
They don't deserve this. Now, what tends to happen is when people become more resistant, they become maybe more resentful. There's a whole, you know, they don't necessarily engage in treatment. And if you look in the mental health industry, in mental health hospitals back in the 60s and 70s and early 80s in the UK, it was very much that, you know, people would come in, the staff would be dressed in their uniforms, and you had to address them as sir and ma'am, or, you know, and etc. It was very sort of quite disciplined and quite clinical. The environment wasn't very pleasant, but, you know, the incidences of violence, aggression, self-harm, you know, were high. And what they noticed when they started to change the environments, change the way people interacted, and also the way that staff dressed as well, taking down barriers. Interestingly, all of those sort of things that were seen as like, you know, high, you know, a lot of incidents of, they started coming down. So we know that, you know, creating a nice environment is helpful in the therapeutic process.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm glad you enjoyed the food.
I did enjoy it. So I would like to, you know, you already told me, but, you know, let's discuss more on that. That how would you carry out the whole recovery here at Samarpan in comparison to what you have seen elsewhere in India, and some of the experiences from your previous experiences abroad in the UK or the Thailand? Yeah,
I mean, what we've tried to do is we understand that every country has some nuances. So, I mean, to come here to implement a model that I may have implemented in for example, in Thailand or in the UK, and expect it to be completely suitable for the demographic of a client here would probably not be the right way of looking at it. But what we do know is that the foundations of the way that we create a program, the fundamentals really don't need to change too much. There does have to be some cultural adaptations to a program. So, you know, for us, it's about and you know, is about creating an environment that is comfortable and safe for the client. That there are minimal distractions, and I said to you earlier, food and accommodation is really important.
Right.
Because if you don't get that right, then you're going to be spending a lot of time dealing with clients who will look for other things to talk about,
right,
as opposed to the things that they ought to talk about. You know, which is about their own shit, if you don't mind me using the word.
Right.
That you know, so you know, distractions, we try to minimize the distractions. In terms of the program, you know, everything always starts from the beginning. Has to have a solid assessment.
Right.
Has to have, you know, and when I talk about assessment, we're talking about, you know, the psychological assessment, the psychiatric assessment, the medical assessment, the social and spiritual assessments, all the stuff that we look at around the person as a whole. And from that, it's around about mapping out a plan of treatment for each individual. So each individual will have a number of presenting issues that need to be addressed. It's not just about the substance abuse.
Right.
So a client comes in, we know for a fact that, okay, the first reason that they're here, the first major problem that they've got here, that has got them here, is their substance abuse.
Right.
All right, so we do need to do work on that. That's absolutely a given. But there's going to be other stuff. It might well be that they're unable to manage their anxiety. It may be that they have, you know, they have health issues that they're struggling with. They may have chronic pain. They may have a chronic disease, such as, for example, you know, they may have HIV. They may have issues with relationships,
right,
gender issues. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on. So we have to sort of work with the client on that basis individually. But ultimately, the delivery of treatment is very much based on group therapy. Group therapy is the most, you know, is the pillar of substance use disorder treatment. So
majority of the transformation or realization comes
within the group. And the groups then are broken down into what we taught, as I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, and I explained that process, the process group that everyone does, you know, every day, and how important that is. And then we have the components of the relapse prevention, the relapse prevention therapy groups, that, you know, are really important. We use a particular model, the Gorski synapse model, which, as you've probably seen in the reception, that we've got, you know, we're a centre of excellence for Gorski synapse.
Right.
You know, we're the only one in Asia, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
The skills building groups, and we do things like cognitive behaviour therapy and dialectical behaviour therapy. The idea is to help people build some degree of emotional scaffolding to manage what life is going to be like outside.
Right.
Now, because we're in India, which is always really important, is family. Family is really important. I mean, the whole use of working with clients and their family is so important. And I think any treatment centre, irrespective of whether in India,
right,
if you haven't got a family, you know, if you haven't got a component in your program with a family, you're shortchanging the client. Really, right. It's so important, because if we don't do work with the family, we're literally sending that person back into the same environment when they leave treatment.
Yeah.
So
the same triggers around.
Yeah, you know, families. You know, the problem with families is it's not a problem. Families don't always know. And what they think might be helpful might not be helpful. What they don't think is helpful might be helpful.
Right.
You know, we have to help them in the process of the healing process as well. Right. Because that is, you know, everyone often focuses on the person that comes into treatment and about, oh, you know, all the stuff they've done. And the family suffer. I think, you know, you used the word suffering a little bit earlier. And I, you know, I also, you know, every time I have a family come in, you know, the first questions that you know, certainly myself and Obi tend to ask them is, how's this impacting you? What's you know, what's going on for you? What his or her, you know, what have you been doing to take care of yourself?
Right.
You know, and the idea is that often, you know, we get people, the families into therapy as well. All right,
yes.
so
it's important, I guess,
and it's really, really helpful. So that whole journey through their treatment is mapped. So with the treatment plan, we're able to map the client's progress or regression in treatment. We're able to give clinical reasons as to why that client may or may not need to stay, may need to stay longer in treatment.
Right.
Not just you need to be in treatment for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Sometimes the family say, can you take him away for 12 months? And I have to say, we don't quite work on that model.
Right.
You know, and I can understand often the frustration that they've had,
yes, yeah.
that they just want to sort of, you know, just get some peace, some respite.
Some peace, yeah.
So, you know, we have that whole idea of mapping what goes through, and when they leave, the important part is that they have a plan, that there's follow-up. There's follow-up. They have access to our outpatient services in Mumbai, which will do stuff in person or online. So, as you know, a lot of our clients are from all over, different parts, not just India, but you know, we've got a couple of people here at the moment from the US.
Okay.
So you know, so we have people from all over, but they're able to access that you know, those the outpatient services, which also includes groups as well. They have 2 groups a week that they can join, recovery support groups, and I think that's really helpful.
Of course.
So you know, and then we just try and make it, you know, a mix of some of the cultural stuff, you know, some of the things that you would expect if you come to treatment in India from overseas, or if you're here, that you'll feel at home. I think for you, I mean, maybe you can talk about like what it's like for, you know, Indians when they travel and stuff. What are the things that they want?
From my perspective, yes, food is one of the most important things. Indians watching this would agree with me that food is going to be of utmost importance. That whether I'm a simple eater, dal chawal eater, but I need what I need. Yeah. So here, that's one thing that I really enjoy, that it connected me, and especially, you know, I was a huge smoker at one point in time, smoking 1.5 pack. That's 30 cigarettes, 30 sticks a day.
Yes.
When I quit smoking, I had extreme urges of eating, you know, all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're not smoking now. Your taste buds are more active. You're able to taste things differently, and you want to do something. So the only thing you do is grab some food or juices. So when people are trying to quit here, if you have good food, it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more happier, relaxed. Yeah. The other thing I liked what you said is that you have a special association with Gorky Synapse for relapse prevention.
Yes.
What I have seen in India is that not many rehabs are focused on relapse prevention, which should be primary, you know, area of attention. If I sell you a car, for example, and if that car is going to keep giving you problems, you're not going to buy that car.
That's one way. Yeah.
And if I buy a Mercedes and I know that Mercedes is reliable and it's not going to give me problems, or you know, Indian cars, Maruti also has less problems. They're sold more. Hyundais are sold more because there is less maintenance and you don't have to keep going back to the service center.
Yes.
Same thing applies here. You know.
I think, you know, a lot of people don't really understand what relapse prevention really is. I think, you know, that and I've had this discussion with multiple people since I've been in India, and I ask the question, you know, what's your understanding of relapse prevention? And it tends to be triggers, high risk situations, and the 12 steps.
Right.
Now, the 12 steps isn't a relapse prevention program, so doesn't even pretend to be. It's part of it. It certainly should be, you know, or it can be a part of someone's recovery plan. It's really helpful,
right,
everything like that. But it's not really a relapse prevention tool as perspective. Triggers and high risk situations are a very small part of the whole thing around about relapse prevention.
Right.
If you're only focusing on high risk situations, you're probably looking at the relapse so far down the track that it's not really relevant. So the idea and with relapse prevention, particularly with the Gorski model, is that the relapse is actually not about the drinking.
Right.
All right. It's not about the use, or as we say here, the return to use. So the return to use is at that moment when we pick this up, or you pick up a joint, or you cut a line, and whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
The return to use is just the end result of a relapse. So the idea for relapse prevention is that you understand the whole idea of what the relapse is, what it constitutes, and everyone has their own personal relapse template.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So
to me it does, but
yeah. So this person's, that person over there, their relapse may be very different to the person over there.
Right.
The end result is the same.
Yeah.
But the way they got there is different. The idea is to help them understand how it is, what it is that constitutes the point where they return to use. So the relapse, you can relapse, but that doesn't necessarily mean you return to use.
Okay.
So the idea then is that once you're in that relapse process, you understand what it is, and that you learn strategies and tools to recognize the relapse and what to do to basically avert that return to use. That's really what it's about. I mean, that's in a simplistic term, and there's a whole raft of strategies and techniques that we use, and the way that we have to work with the client is very structured. It's very, it's very intense. There's only 7 relapse prevention specialists in India.
Only 7 in India?
There's only 7.
Wow.
All right, and they all work here.
They all work here.
So that's that model.
Right.
It's a well-known model. It's been well recognized. A lot of people have heard of it, but they don't really understand it. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, we do it," but they don't. But it's a tried and trusted. It's really helpful, and yeah, we love that. We love working in that model.
And in your years of experience, working on relapses, when your clients spend a couple of months here, and you have trained them enough of how to handle relapses, from the commercial perspective, do you think that is what will take you long term, get you more, successful in healing people, or send them half trained? Very direct question.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, well, actually, I mean, the thing is, and I say this to all the clients, is, it's really been nice knowing you. I hope I don't have to see you again.
Exactly.
And and I think our take is that, we love seeing our alumni clients, and we've had a brilliant alumni event here a few months back. About 55 clients came up, ex-former alumni clients came here for a day, and I love seeing them, but I don't want to necessarily see them back. Now, we're a little bit on this. One of the things that we talked about when we were looking at clients, and unfortunately, as you will know, this is a chronic relapsing condition that people unfortunately do return to use. That people do have, that there is a portion of people that may need to come back to treatment a few times.
Right.
We tend to look at that as, we understand that, and often it's a case of we have to work and understand what it is that gets the person back. We generally won't take anyone more than twice.
Really?
Yeah. We have on a couple of occasions taken someone in on a 3rd admission, but they have to give a very justified clinical reason, and there will be a very specific re-entry criteria into the program to take them any more than twice.
Okay.
If our take is that maybe if they've been here twice and they're still struggling, then maybe there is somewhere else that might just fit better.
Right.
I don't find it healthy that a client would come back into treatment 5, 6, 7 times to the same treatment centre.
Right. It's not one model fits all, right?
Correct.
I mean, something else might work for that particular client.
Exactly. And I don't think it's a failure of the program. Some people say to me, "Well, I've been to this treatment centre 4 or 5 times. It's never worked for me. It's failed. I need to come to you." And it's like, well, actually, it's probably not failed. It's just maybe there's a couple of missing pieces.
Right.
All right. It's a little bit like, because you've probably learned something. Most people, when they come into treatment, they will take away stuff that they've learned. So I don't look at treatment, if someone returns to use as a failure, it's just that it might be a couple of things that need to be done differently. I think everyone is that, but yeah, my take over the years is I've worked in treatment centres where people have sort of come in multiple times, and over the last few years, I've sort of become more of the opinion that if someone has been maybe twice and they're still struggling, then unless there's a justified reason to bring them in a third time, you would signpost them somewhere else.
Right.
I just think because it's all about the client at the end of the day.
Of course. We have a similar kind of, my expectation out of Meadows Wellness would be something similar, that people, when they come for rejuvenation programs, we have 5 days, 7 days rejuvenation retreats. So when they come to these retreats, I want that what happens primarily when you go to a naturopathy center is you instill new habits. The habits that were there with you, but you've forgotten those habits over the years.
Yes.
And you've really messed up with your lifestyle.
Yes.
So when you come to a naturopathy center, you remember those habits again, like waking up in the morning, practicing yoga or any form of exercises that gets your blood circulating across your body.
Yes.
Then having your right breakfast, right food. You are what you eat, as they say.
Yes.
So getting to the right food habits, what's not suitable for you, what is suitable for you. Not eating the right food is basically it's something that's going to create deficiencies in your body, nutritional deficiencies.
Yeah.
You eat what you enjoy, but you're not eating what your body needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that way you start becoming deficient of the right nutrition and that's why people have different problems in their body. It starts with the food. A lot of it starts with mental health, and part of it starts with the food they eat. If these two things are in balance, then I think 90% of people will be able to live a very healthy life, unless there are some external factors like bacteria from external sources. But other than that, you will stay healthy. So we are very, very happy when people experience those life-changing experience at our center. They instill new habits, and when they go back, we keep checking with them. And if they continue to maintain those habits, and they form those habits, as their daily practice, that is success for me.
Yeah.
That is success for me. Not that they came here, I got business, they went back, and after 6 months or 1 year, they come back again. Their coming back again is not my success. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but I also sometimes think, particularly in your field, my take would be that some people sometimes need to step off that hamster wheel that they're sort of running on, and I think there's the idea of being able to go literally sort of have that period of time, couple of weeks away from stuff,
right?
Reset, things like that. I think there's a lot of stress, isn't there? I think probably you see. If you're talking about people in business, a lot of stress and burnout, those types of things. There's such a place for places like Meadows. That would be my take. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. It's for everyone. There is definitely a lot of stress. So once you form those new habits, and you again tend to forget those habits, plus you are so consumed by your daily, errands, running around, meeting your goals, your targets, your objectives of life, and you get fed up. And that time again, Meadows is a place where you get a break from all that.
Yeah.
Therapies, massages, the whole detox, eating the right food, juices replenishes you, and you are ready to go back to the same place and fight your wars, your struggles, your battles with a lot more strength in you.
Do you want to just sort of because from what I understand, you've got three places, haven't you? You've got three centres, and they're all in Gujarat.
They're all in Gujarat.
So currently. Do you want to just sort of maybe just explain a little bit about, are each centre a little bit different, or do they do?
Yes, they are. In terms of therapies they offer, in terms of the treatments they offer, they are more or less the same.
Okay.
Yeah. The Junagadh Centre, the centre which is in Junagadh, which is a little, you can say in types of category, it's a three-star property.
Yep.
Where your accommodations are basic, but you get excellent treatment. It's close to nature. There's no constructed building around that centre for at least in diameter of or in a radius of about 2 kilometers. There's nothing around.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah. The second center is in Rajkot, which is a little more premium, more or less like what you have here.
Yes.
A little probably somewhere here. You get excellent accommodation facility, dining facility, and therapies. It's close to Rajkot Airport, so you land in Rajkot, and within 10 minutes you are at the center. So that avoids all the traffic and all the rush. And the new center, which is opening, it is in Polo Forest, near Ahmedabad. It's about an hour and a half drive from Ahmedabad. So people who want to go to Ahmedabad or from there, they can use Polo Forest.
Yes.
This resort is in the middle of wildlife sanctuary.
Okay.
So beautiful, lot of trees, lot of nature around. Again, you don't see constructed buildings there.
Yes.
That's if Rajkot is 3.5 or 4 star, then Polo Forest is about 4.5 4.5 stars. It's nice swimming pool, good facility to those are the 3 centers.
How long do people come generally to? I mean, obviously, when the people come here to Samarpan, we have a minimum length of stay, which is 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
Although what we've done is that we give everyone a week extra, free of charge, so that anyone that they get 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
And then they extend in blocks of 4. But for you, what sort of lengths of stays do people come?
On an average, people come for about 8 to 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lesser than that, in naturopathy, you won't get any impact felt.
Yes.
You won't feel the difference at all.
Yes.
So ideally 8 days is 7 to 8 days is minimum, bare minimum, and 15 days would be very good.
Yes.
We perform Panchkarma therapies, which if you do Panchkarma, which is a complete detox procedure, Ayurveda based detox procedure, if you do it for 15 days, you will have transformative experience. You will lose a lot of toxins from your body. Weight balance will be a side effect.
Yes.
Your gut will be restored. You will have rejuvenated completely. Yes. All your cells, there are a lot of cells that are dying in our bodies every day.
Yes.
So cells will be reactivated, restored. So a lot of things happens in a Panchkarma therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel that there could be a brilliant collaboration in terms of the services that you provide and the experience that people get.
Yeah.
And if those are continued with naturopathy treatments at our center, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that is sort of like crosses over, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're sort of we've been sort of chatting for quite a while, haven't we? Well, for a little while now around stuff, and this is the second time we've caught up. We sort of,
course, yeah.
We met up in Gift City, I think,
wasn't it? Ahmedabad, yes.
About a month ago, and then you've come down yesterday to have a look around. I thought it'd be great for you to sort of see what we do and stuff. Just out of curiosity, I mean, what's your take on? I mean, Samarpan, what is it? What does it feel like, sort of being in here? I mean, I think people talk about. We talked about those misconceptions. What was your? You've been here now, not that long, about 12, 14 hours,
right.
but you've had a look around. You've met a few people. I think you've chatted to a few clients and stuff. What's your sort of? What's your initial impression of this? Because that might be helpful for some people that might be watching and going, oh.
Right.
I might need to send my loved one to rehab, or I might need to go myself.
Right.
Yeah.
First thing, in India, people tend to be a little, at the time of making a decision, not that they are not or they are incapable of affording such centers, but first thing they base everything on is price.
Okay.
So do I want to spend this much or not? So your price packages of 5 weeks starts from
6.5 lakh for a single room, and 3.5 lakh for a shared room.
A shared room.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody coming for a shared room, 3.5 lakhs would come to 10,000 a month, about, for a shared room. 12,000 or something, or 14,000.
3.5 lakh for 5 weeks.
For 5 weeks, okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's less than 10,000 a night, I guess.
Yeah, it's less. Yeah, it's less than 10.
Less than 10,000 a night.
Yeah. Well, it's about 10,000.
Yeah.
Dead.
Exactly. Dead 10,000. Yeah, dead 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000 rupees dead.
So 10,000, a lot of people are very happy to spend when they go to a recreational resort. That's less amount, in fact. Some of the resorts charge you 20,000, 30,000, and some of the heritage resorts in India would charge you probably 40, 50,000.
Yes.
And you'd happily spend because you have that money, and just because you don't have to do anything or nothing happens on your body or your mind, or in that terms, you go to a resort and you spend your time at your will.
Yes.
And you indulge in activities that you want to, and you still spend 40, 50,000.
Yes.
Here you are coming for treatment. You are going to transform your life. Your loved one might be suffering from a lot of distress in terms of dealing with addiction, consuming. They might be spending a lot more money on those substances.
Yes,
yeah, a lot more money.
Often,
and as far as it's alcohol or marijuana, it's still
cocaine,
different.
whatever.
But cocaine, and you go to different meth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're spending a bomb on that amount.
Yes.
And then this is peanuts, and this is transformation of life. If I was to send somebody here for 2 months and looking at 12 lakhs or 12.5 lakhs for a private room, I mean, give them that experience that you are valued, you are loved, and money is not important. Your life is important. Reviving you to normalcy is important. For that, if I have to spend 12 lakhs, I'd happily spend.
Yeah.
And in comparison to that money, I think you're giving great value in terms of the entire experience. Like when I entered my room and I saw the bed, it was king size, large bed. And that itself is like, wow, this is value for money.
Yeah.
The experience of sleeping on that bed, the way, the team here walked me into the room, took the bags, greeted me, left 2 bottles of juices, water. I hope it's not just for me. The same experience for everybody.
Yes. Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah.
The everything. I mean, I looked at the details, the night lamps that were used, the small balcony that you have, everything. High quality material used here. The living room, like when you go to a villa and you have a nice living room, 4 people sharing that villa.
Yeah.
I would imagine that if I came, if I was getting treated here, or if I was coming here for, overcoming or recovering basically.
Yes.
There would be 4 or 8 people in that villa. Imagine they all sitting in the living room and sharing their experiences,
exactly.
watching TV, dining together. You have a nice dining area in the villa.
Yeah.
5-star. I would give this facility 5-star, value for money. And if I really loved someone and I wanted them to recover, price is probably the last thing. And of course, not everybody can afford.
Exactly.
A lot of people are suffering from addictions in India. Not everybody can afford, but there are different centers for everybody. There are centers for people who can afford that category. Where do people who have that kind of money, disposable incomes or that kind of money lying around, and if they want to choose a rehab, there are only countable rehabs like this in India. If I have the money to spend, but I need that kind of facility for my loved one, where I need comfort, luxury, safety, good food, and a holistic good experience. So until 10 years ago, I think there were very, very few.
Very few,
maybe 1 or 2, I would say.
Yes,
now there are places. So if you have that kind of money, that money would be secondary.
Yes.
And yes, those who want, less expensive, there are definitely a lot of choices available.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, do, as you say, when you actually cut it down and say, well, actually, it's 10,000 a night.
Yeah.
But throw in all of the therapy, all of the other stuff. It's not expensive. Now, as I say, I understand that for some people, we are out of their price range. I completely understand that. But for those that we are in their price range, actually, it's good value. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, if I do an individual session, I would charge for 1 hour. I would charge 15,000 rupees.
Exactly.
So you can sort of go, well, actually, I can for 10, I can 10 a night, I can stay and I get I get all the group therapy, I get my meals. I mean, it's pretty good, I think.
And a lot of psychiatrists in India, they charge probably more than that for an hour of consultation.
Yes, of course. I know, if we sort of working in the UK and what we would charge for an hour again, it goes up again, you know.
Exactly.
I think I guess for people that may have in the past gone overseas to look for treatment, there's not really a necessary need to do that anymore. You know, you can come here and experience what you would get in Thailand or the UK or the US. If people were traveling before, and particularly the type of modality, the way we deliver the treatment, then, you know, if you want that type of experience, that's probably, this is probably the place that is most matched to that experience.
And what would people pay if they actually went to Thailand or the UK for this experience?
So, I mean, you know, if I was looking at my old places, you're talking around about 13,000 US.
13,000 US per month.
13 to 15,000 US a month.
And 10,000 US is about 8.5 lakhs in Indian rupees.
Yes.
So you're talking about close to 12 lakh rupees.
Yes.
If you go there.
So it's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, it's double the price plus traveling expenses, living expenses, visas and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, so there is a place, I mean, you know, for people. I mean, I think that's probably the good part. Hopefully we're in the process of working some stuff out that I think is going to be helpful for clients, not just from the perspective, as you know, we've got clients that work in with the mental health as well.
Right.
And we don't take people here with just mental health issues. We have the outpatient counselling in Mumbai, you know, with the team down there, and you know that they need to sometimes put people somewhere for maybe a week or, you know, for
rejuvenation.
Just a bit of rejuvenation, a bit of self-care, a bit of time out, you know. And I think there's, you know, so I'm sort of quite looking forward to sort of, you know,
absolutely
getting this done.
Yeah, we're coming up with retreats which we can together, you know, obviously, you know, do it for our clients.
Yes.
There are mindfulness retreats, stress management retreats. We'll be inviting special guest speakers who are qualified in this subject matters.
Yes.
So those the way I would like to see it is that, you know, in a mindfulness retreat, when the people come for 5 to 7 days, we want to just make them aware. We can't completely, you know, cure them or change their lifestyle, but we just want to make them aware.
Yes.
That if you are drinking this cup of tea, be aware, be mindful about it.
Yeah.
How the tea tastes, how hot is it?
Yes.
You know, what's the surrounding, you know, sounds that you hear?
Yeah.
The birds that are chirping, the air breeze. Just be mindful about it.
Yeah.
So the entire experience of the mindfulness retreat will be from the time you wake up, the yoga practice that you will be indulging in. We'll be taking you to mindful walks. You know, then while breakfast, your phones have to be left at the room, and you be completely mindful about everything that encompasses the whole eating experience. What other people are talking about, how the food is tasting, what's the smell like.
Yes.
Be mindful about everything.
Yeah.
And that itself will bring a huge difference in the way you conduct your daily life. Yeah. So these retreats, we can do it together for our clients.
I might have to come for a week just for myself. I think myself and Obi would love a week. Love a rejuvenation week.
Yeah, but then we don't talk anything about what we do on our daily life. Just be mindful about it. Yeah.
I mean, I do sometimes laugh, and you know, and I think sort of I don't think everyone always understands how intense it is working.
Right.
In these places, and not just for me and Obi. I mean, even for our staff.
Exactly.
Here, you know, I mean, it's you know, residential treatment is really, you know, it's fully 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know,
so, I've done a special program for burnout recovery.
Yes.
So burnout recovery, and that also especially for people in the healthcare industry, and doctors primarily, and more than us, I think doctors would be experiencing a huge amount of burnout because
huge issue.
Yeah, they're dealing with patients, also patients' families who can't afford, and they come to know that my loved one is experiencing liver cirrhosis or things like that, you know, which are chronic and you know.
Yeah.
very difficult to deal with, you know, ailments.
Yeah.
And then they cry, I don't have money to pay. Now it's so much emotional burnout for doctors. They want to do something for them, but it's not possible always.
Yeah. It's a very hard, I think, health, you know, and I sort of, and I can, you know, I relate to this. I'm not a doctor, but, you know, I've spent pretty much the last 30 years working with doctors, having, you know, been in the mental health field for 33 years now this year. And, you know, obviously I'm a nurse originally by training. But there's a lot of burnout within the healthcare field, and you know the problem I think is that the people that are taking care of so many people don't always take care of themselves.
Exactly.
And I can relate to that. I've had periods in my life where I can probably say, you know, I've probably reached a point of burnout. I think, you know, if I look back and honest with myself, I would probably say I was burnt out by sort of 2020, sort of, you know, COVID. And I talked about this in the last podcast actually, because I was having a conversation with Obi, and you know, and I think, you know, sort of I'd had literally sort of, you know, 5 years of just absolutely just full on work, and I was, you know, I think I was probably, you know, if I look back, I was probably burnt out, and I think, and I'd probably go back to around about 215 again, and I was probably at that point of burnt out, and I had probably, if I go back a bit further, I can probably say around about, you know, probably about 2005. There was little periods where, and what tends to happen also is that when you feel like that, you lose interest in the work that you're doing, and when you start to lose interest or lose the passion, you're not as effective. And the you know, and the clients, and I use the word clients because that's the word we use here. You know, some people will use patients. They pick up on it.
Right.
They can tell. They just know that maybe you're not 100% here, or you don't really care, or you're not interested, or you know, you know, sometimes you're snappy, and you know, and I think sometimes you've got to be a bit honest with yourself and say, I need a bit of time out. You know, and I you know, I mean, you know, I go back and I sort of think, well, you know, I mean, I remember back in sort of 2020, and we got to COVID and all of that stuff, and I got to a point at one point of saying, I don't know if I actually want to go back and work in this field. I was, you know, I'd had a bit of time off because of COVID and everything sort of closed down.
Right.
And I remember having this discussion with a couple of people close to me, and I said, I think I'm done. I don't think I want to do this anymore.
True.
And I just left it for a few months. I just didn't really sort of think too much about it because of COVID and everything was closed down. And I went back to the UK for a little bit.
Took a little bit of sabbatical.
And I didn't do this work for a few months.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, like I think within about I was back about 2 months, and I got this call and they said, can you come and do some work on the detox unit? So I went back and I was like, as soon as I got back onto the detox unit, I was like, yeah, this is actually where I want to be. It's like,
I miss you.
Yeah, and it's
I'm sorry I've been away.
Yeah, this is where I want to be. But I had that little bit of, you know, a couple of months of just sort of not doing it. And then I realised that, yeah, this is what I like doing, you know, and it was sort of, you know, this is you know, this is where I want to, you know, this is what I want to be. And then, you know, as it happened, I ended up coming to India. So
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Burnouts, even I experience burnouts a lot of times when you feel like it's enough, you know, let's just, I just want that I can sit and think about the ideas, and then there's a whole team who's going to do everything else. It doesn't work like that.
Never does. It never does.
But what I do is try to take time offs, have some other passions, some other hobbies that I learned from people. Yeah, you're pretty active. You're pretty active. I try to pick up. I mean, it wasn't like this always, but I learned from people even while I was at rehab, and I was talked to experts. they would talk about that, how to distract yourself, completely shut down.
Yes.
Even if it's for 24 hours.
Yes.
Complete shutdown. Not talk about your work.
Yes.
Anything. Go and have a good time.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps. Yeah. Even during my bike rides, I mean, it teaches a lot to me. During bike rides, how you tackle situations, traffic, how you tackle different things, and then I relate back to the life. That these are the obstacles you face in life every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing I learned, and I keep talking about it to my children, which I learned from riding, is a lot of people see obstacles in their life and they say, I have this in front of me, I can't move forward. And while you're riding, I talk to my son about it. He also is a aspiring rider.
Yes.
So I tell him that when you're riding or driving a car or whatever, don't look at the truck in front of you. Look at where you can find a gap.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do in
life.
Well,
that's about that's that whole part around about mindfulness and about being able to move with the waves. Sometimes there's a way of as opposed to try and push against it, is to move with it. And I think that's really important.
People get frustrated seeing that obstacle and they say, I can't move forward. But look at there's a gap. Just need to move left, right, and find your ways forward.
Exactly. Well,
great.
Thank you for your time.
Lovely.
And obviously for anyone that's watching as well and that may need some rejuvenation, some time that they're a bit stressed or burned out or whatever, then Meadows Wellness is another place to go. Obviously you come to Samarpan if it's a substance use, but Meadows is a great option as well for people. Thank you, Atul, for your time.
Thank you very much, Martin.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Samarpan.
I will definitely. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
And I would like to just tell people who are suffering from addiction, or especially the loved ones of the people suffering from addictions, that they are suffering. It is a mental health disorder. They have probably had some difficulties, some challenges in life for which they picked up addiction as an escape route probably. If this is a rehab for you or not, but find a rehab that suits you. Go to a rehab, hold their hand, give them that support. What I talk about is hope, where I elaborate hope as hold on, pain ends. So those who are suffering from rehab, hold on, pain ends eventually. Find a place which can heal you, which you think I need to go to, where I'll find my point of recovery. There's always a point of recovery. It's not end of the life. There is a lot of people around the world that are getting cured every day, who are recovering every day, who are healing every day. You don't need to be afraid. Going back to the normal life is going to make you a lot more happier. You're going to have beautiful relationship restored. You're going to have your business success or your art, creativity, music, whatever you like. Find your purpose is what Hindu Dharma says. I know the same carries out in all other religions. Is what Nas Daily also said recently, that find your dharma, your duty, your purpose. Whatever you are good at, keep practicing that more, and I wish you all the very best in life ahead. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant.